Nuclear missile ready. Nuclear missile ready. Nuclear missile ready.
All right, hello and welcome everyone to yet another Alpha Pro Series event brought to you by Alpha X. My name is Rushy and I am so excited to be here today with all of you for the Alpha Pro Series 176 between MaSa and SortOf, a TvZ that will definitely take us the distance today on our cast. But I am not only happy to be here to share these games with you, but I'm here with my co-host and my co-caster today, Black One. Hello, Black One.
Hi there, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I'm very, very excited. We get a chance to catch these two fantastic foreigners as they duke it out in today's series. So are you excited for today's cast?
Oh, I'm so excited. SortOf has always been kind of underappreciated in the foreigner scene. I feel like during his stay in Korea, he gained a lot of knowledge and he has definitely been doing very well on ladder in his stream. And MaSa always, like, what do you want to say about MaSa? Sometimes he performs, sometimes he doesn't, but when he performs, there's no second place for him.
Well, and it's so fun that we get a chance to cheer on the home team, if you will, our Alpha X brother in arms here. But we'll talk a little bit more about our players here in just a moment. Currently looking for our lobby, and I'm not finding it by some chance. So I'm going to take a peek here really quick. I am going to have to drag this over to this screen for a brief moment because I have to lower Discord as we get wired up and ready to go. So we've got a little bit of a hold here. I think we might be on the wrong server.
Korea. I don't think it's Korea because SortOf came back just like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
He is back in Europe, so I'm not quite
We will
sure.
start on the US server. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that explains everything.
So, little technical difficulty. Sometimes reading is a difficult task, and we will be set and ready to go here in just a moment. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. We're in a good place here. This is just another example of the quality professional streams brought to you by Alpha X and all of our compatriots here. It'll be sad to say this is probably my last event. I'm going to get kicked off of the main team, so, you know, it's okay. That's fine. I've totally earned my situation here. It's all a joke, of course. But we are going to get set up and into place. So while we wait for our lobby to get pulled up here, why don't we go ahead and talk about our players since we have a little bit of time. Black One, do you want to talk to us a little bit about MaSa?
Okay, so MaSa has been showing his bio play in TvZ. I feel like this is the most solid way to play the matchup in general. I am already excited and I'm looking forward to seeing how he approaches this matchup, because we have seen a lot of different openers. We have seen 3cc openers, we've seen quick Banshees, we've seen Liberators, we have seen 2-Rex. We've seen a lot of 2-Rex actually. Might even see a 3-Rex. So I'm excited.
Wonderful. If we take a look at MaSa's setup here, I'm finding it interesting to juggle here. Our Canadian Terran playing for Alpha X, currently working on his approximate earnings for the year, just under $800 worth of earnings, but don't let that fool you. Lots of participation in 2019. Still kind of working up his participation here in 2020 as the continuous year gets wound up, essentially, as we are now entering our first full year of the system with ESL and bumping back the World Championship to IEM Katowice. So...
what are your thoughts on the new system, like the new ESL system? I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and generally everybody likes it, but thanks to the COVID-19 situation, we have had some changes. What are your thoughts? You have any special thoughts on it, or just generally happy with how it's going?
Well, I think it's difficult to determine exactly how things are set and ready to fly right now. What with COVID-19 kind of throwing a wrench into a lot of the different pieces that was supposed to be our 2020 ESL season. So I know that Apollo and all the people over at ESL are doing an outstanding job of pivoting in such a confusing time, if you will. That being said, I think the online cups are a great choice. I love how they are moving forward with revamping the different seasons, if you will. So spring, summer, winter, and then the championships. I think that's really, really cool. They saw a lot of success with WCS Winter in the previous year. So that is not an unknown variable for them. So they know that they have the system in place. They have everything put together to make that successful. I think as long as they continue to move down that path, I think they will see some very, very good scenarios come up here. So very, very excited for what will be and what could be. Okay, well, as we wind up here, we are going to jump to a quick break. Gonna try and figure out all of our lobbies. We don't have a game yet for you, which is odd. I'm used to like the first minute we're into a game. So we're gonna go ahead and get that figured out, but don't go anywhere, folks. We have a great treat for you today. We'll talk more about it when we return. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, and welcome back. Oh, I forgot to bring Black One back up full screen. You can see his beautiful face right there. Ah, excellent. We are set and ready to go. We're hopping into game number 1. We're gonna jump in to Everdream for our first map. You guys are in for a real treat here for our Alpha Pro Series number 176. Thanks so much for joining us. We're just getting started, so find a friend, shoot them a message, open Discord. Let them know that they need to hop on over to play.africatv.com/alphaxsc2 to catch this awesome best of 9 show match between these two players. And we're going to start in this lower left corner.
Game paused.
We are not going to start because we have the wrong priority of map. We're just full sending it on this one today, folks. I'm loving it entirely. So we are gonna go Eastern, and we are gonna remake our game. We are gonna pull this up. We are not gonna full send this entirely. All right.
No worries, no worries.
It's Friday. Can anyone else feel that Friday buzz? Or maybe it's Saturday. Maybe it's super early Saturday and everyone's like, we get it. We absolutely understand. Okay. 4th or 5th or 12th time's a charm here as we get fired up. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. Thank you for the patience as we get ready. Oh, I think we're finally set and ready to go. Oh, let's go. Okay, here we go. Jumping into Everdream, we are going to jump down in the lower left-hand corner and follow this man spawning as the Blue Terran playing for Alpha X. Give it up for MaSa.
And spawning in the right top corner as our Red Zerg, representing... Who's he representing?
I believe he's
Forgot.
teamless right now.
He's teamless?
I believe
Well,
so.
then give it up and let some team owners know. Here is SortOf.
Yeah, I double-checked Liquipedia right before we got started, and it says that sort of is teamless. So, team owners, if you're looking, I think he's ready. He's single and ready to mingle.
I wanted to say that one.
Ah, shoot. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal that from you. All right.
Okay.
So, as we get fired up here for our game number 1, one of the biggest things that just came out recently is the new map rotation. Have you had a chance to check that out, Black One?
Oh, I just came from some practice matches on those new maps, playing against Protoss, so my worst matchup, probably most of the Terrans' worst matchup, to be honest. And I'm not really into them yet. I think people like TY will really enjoy those because they favor some very creative playstyles, but otherwise I think we'll see a lot of 1 and 2 base all-ins by Terran especially.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had any playtime on any of the new maps yet. I know that it's going to be a couple of weeks before they go live. I usually just enjoy kind of just running my face first into them when they first come out. So I don't know if I'll get a whole lot of advanced experience, but it seems like to your point, I think that there are definitely a lot of Terran preferred maps. I won't call them favored because then the internet will start jumping all over me. It's like, Terran's never been favored in the 10 years this game has existed. Okay. But I think there are definitely some Terran preferred maps. I also like some of the Zerg preferred maps that are going to be there. What is it? The Death Aura, the very, very short map. I could see Zerg players having a lot of fun, not only with the size of the map, but also the speed acceleration zones, which should provide for some really interesting tactics. I can definitely see the Queen march across the map becoming more popular because now the distance is going to be much less extended in those situations. So I'm excited. I think it'll be really, really cool.
Actually, I never thought about the Queens going through the speed zones. Do you think they'll just be the same speed as a Marine, like walking casually?
I think there's definitely some interesting play there. I don't know exactly what to look for. I think it'll be even more interesting because it seems like you can drop creep in those zones uninhibited. So it'll be really interesting to see the kind of play that happens along with that. But we can go ahead and speculate more about that in the future. This game's starting to wind up just a little bit. Both players opening up rather macro focused, not a whole lot going on here. We do have a really early stim coming out of MaSa as he is going to wind up for a quick bio hit. Opting to not go for anything super techy out of the starport, just coming out with a Viking right now to fend off the Overlord.
He already got his third CC up. It's in the corner of his base, and if I'm not mistaken, he might go up to some more Hellions, but I might be mistaken right now. So getting this map presence out with the Hellions is crucial. Just so you know what the Zerg is doing. Pretend to stop some creep. count the drones at the third base, and then hope he's not all in it.
Well, and SortOf isn't necessarily known to be a super cheeky player. He's certainly shown off his aggression skills in Codes qualifiers and in various ESL events, but I don't think that we're going to see intended cheese over and over again from our Swedish Zerg player. And he's going up to that 1-1 capacity, throwing down a Baneling nest behind it as well. MaSa, to your credit, once again, pretending to try and push that creep back a little bit. Although finding a few moments here where he can pick off the stray creep tumor as the Queens are laying them down. So not getting insignificant damage. Behind that, though, MaSa going for that 1-1 timing. He's rallying up his tanks. He does have a nice swath of Marines at this point. And as SortOf goes out to take his fourth, MaSa's going to need to start trying to slow SortOf down just a little bit.
I agree. Like, for SortOf, when I tuned into his stream and he's been playing TvZ, I realized he's more the kind of guy to go for those run-bys. A really nice surround on those Hellions right there. And that run-by style might really, really be good on Everdream. With the third base so exposed to run-bys, I feel like MaSa should be aware that plays like this might happen.
Well, it looks like he's going to pick up and run across the map here with a 16 Marine drop. He does have the Viking up in the top corner, but that's not going to do anything more than just try to push away the vision of SortOf. Trying to clear that path here into that main base. SortOf really doing a decent job of trying to get out onto the center of the map, going to clear some of those destructible rocks, but it is going to put him in an awkward position to try and deal with this drop. There's not really a whole lot in the main base. He's got an Overlord headed over there, but it's only going to be now that he spots that this is incoming. So a big stim forward is going to get a lot of damage done here, as SortOf does need to pull all of his units back. And all the Lings are going to get shoved all the way back. Nice positioning here by the Marines, as he waits and he's very, very patient, trying to get as much damage as possible. Doesn't pull in time to avoid the Banelings, but a good amount of damage on the spawning pool and 3 drones picked off. MaSa at least gets a little bit of damage done.
That was a super nice play by MaSa. He went for that early Viking, pushed the vision of the Zerg back to his main and his natural with this Viking, and then went for a drop along the path that the Viking cleared, got in, wasn't spotted, and got some damage done.
Well, MaSa is now going to jump into one of his signature playstyles here, and he's going to be across the map. He's going to be triple pushing at 3 different locations. Now, one of them does not have a whole lot to it, so sort of falling for a little bit of the bait there with the big chunk of the Banes and the Lings. Good pickups as he works on trying to clear out the creep on the lower right-hand corner of the map. But now MaSa is going to move out across the center here with a main chunk of the army. Widow Mines as a part of that composition, and tanks are going to start sieging from the high ground as MaSa looks to push this creep back in the center.
MaSa really needs to look out. He sees the Vipers now, but he didn't see them before. He has the Drilling Claw upgrade up and running, almost finished. But that upgrade won't help him too much against the Hydra-based army. So he needs to get the tank production going, and he needs a lot of them. And right now he's still producing Widow Mines to deal with the Ling and Baneling.
Well, and for a game that has had a really significant lack of dedicated aggression here by either player, I feel like SortOf is really playing from a back foot. He's got some good positioning. He's got a good amount of units, but I mean, look at that supply count. MaSa completely massed out, SortOf still sitting at 180 supply. He's going to get a good run by here at the 3rd base and force MaSa back with at least a little bit of his army. The main siege unit's going to sit here at the center, but that's going to be aggressed upon here by SortOf. Some nice splits on those Lings and Banelings to try and draw out the tank fire and avoid the devastating splash damage. Only picks off a couple of tanks. One of the tanks still remains, and the mines are going to move forward with the bulk of the army here. SortOf really needs to be careful. MaSa's got a big shove here.
I really like that play for SortOf. He drew MaSa back, but he did expose his units to the tank fire, which hit hard. And those Marines are just shredding the Hydras right now.
Yeah, look at that supply tank, 160 to 130. MaSa really taking control of this game, and he doesn't even have all of his siege here. He's got a couple of valuable siege units that he's not playing with just yet, but I think MaSa is also trying to protect his backside here. Really easy to send some Lings down the center and right into your natural base to deal some good damage economically. MaSa right now trying to transition into a little bit higher tech, getting that +1 vehicle plating, getting 3-3 on his Marines, continuing to invest more and more into those mines, and Liberators now starting to come out onto the field.
I feel like SortOf is missing the next step in this tech path. He should be opting to go for some lurkers together with those Lings and Banelings. But right now he doesn't have the money to do so. His Baneling count is super low, and SortOf doesn't have the 3-3 upgrades on his way neither. So MaSa in a really good spot right now. If he's able to secure the high ground and get his tanks there, that base of SortOf is in a lot of trouble, because holding that one is super hard when those tanks get sieged up, when those Liberators get sieged up, and when that whole area around the base is just death area, pretty much.
SortOf still committing here in on his Lings and Banes here. Nice little surround at the Liberator siege. some Hydras managing to get onto the backside of these Liberators. One Liberator will go down, but there's just still so many Marines and units here. Finally now with a swath of supporting Banelings and Lings, will that get cleaned up? But most of the medevacs do get away. There's still more units still streaming across the map. A couple of drones do go down. Nothing major, no major damage economically, but SortOf is failing to get across the map here. MaSa now throwing down his 5th and 6th base locations here. He has a 7th on the way, ready to go, and he continues to be the aggressor across the map, drawing Zerglings and Banelings into his Widow Mines. These Widow Mines getting so much value for him here in game number 1.
I'm so impressed by MaSa being able to play against Lingbane Hydra composed armies with Widow Mines is something I haven't seen yet. And also he's so good in just keeping alive those medivacs. And keeping those medivacs alive means you don't have to spend time building those on your starports, and you can go and progress in the tech route and go for those liberators, right? So you will be able to put this siege unit composition on the field and get in the Zerg's face.
Yeah, and this is just constant aggression here streaming across the map for MaSa. Losing a couple of packs of Marines here to some stray Banelings, but watching the army supply of SortOf just continue to plummet. These Widow Mines and Liberators continuing to make this a losing fight for SortOf. SortOf trying to take more bases, but he just doesn't have the production behind this to hold off even this tiny bit of aggression here. And GG is going to be called, and game number 1 goes in the direction of our Canadian Terran. Well played.
MaSa came in with such a nice plan for this map. He wanted to clear the vision and then drop along the line. He did that. He got into the main base. The units for SortOf were completely out of position. And then he just, from there on, got momentum going and got into SortOf's space. And SortOf was never really able to get rid of the pressure that MaSa applied.
And we're going to have to see what happens here for map number 2. It's going to be interesting, though, because right now we've got 2 players playing from 2 different regions. MaSa, obviously playing from the North American server, and SortOf, currently playing from the EU server. Spent a lot of time in Korea, but is currently back in the European Union. So it'll be interesting to see how SortOf manages his micro a little bit better when he's playing on his home server. So we are gonna get fired up here for our next map, and
so we're going to Europe now.
Yes, yep, we are going to Europe. We are jumping into Nightshade LE as our map number 2, and I will send you this lobby invite. Wonderful. Alrighty, and here we are, map number 2 on Nightshade. It's gonna be one of the other maps that will be recycled at the end of this season in place of some new maps that have a little bit of form and shape as related to this map. But I kind of hope maybe we can see some lighter maps in the world as we get set up here into our next series. Aha. There we go. We're jumping into Nightshade, spawning in the lower right-hand corner. Our yellow Zerg player, currently teamless, looking to get up in a point in this game. Give it up for SortOf.
And spawning in the left top corner, the blue Terran representing Alpha X. It's none other than MaSa.
All right. So let's see. We talked about a couple of the maps that are going to be new in the pool. We might want to talk about a couple of the maps that are going to be staying, but before we do that, let's talk about the format of this tournament, because we might have somebody that's brand new to the Alpha Pro Series. They might have missed the first 175, and then they decided 176. Yeah, that's my time. That is my event. These show matches are best of 9 series. We start off with a caster pick map, so we picked Everdream. Well, I picked Everdream. I did not give Black One an opportunity to have a say. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you, but
I'm
I
too
just
beta too.
Ugh, I know. Sometimes it do be like that. I do apologize. The rest of the series, we go to a loser's pick all the way out. There are no bans, so all of the maps will be used. If for some reason we get to a game number 8, all of the maps become available again, and our players will continue to pick all the way out until we have our first to 5 wins. Today's winner will receive the lion's share of our prize pool that is not only being contributed by Alpha X, but also by you, the viewer. And we're going to have to put that on hold for a moment here, as MaSa currently trying to throw down a cheeky little bunker. Now, we know that this is not super dedicated aggression. It's just one barracks. There's no delay on the CC here. But MaSa trying to draw out a little bit more production outside of drones from SortOf. But right now, SortOf doing a really nice job of holding this off. He does get one Ling off, and with that SCV getting killed, this is now nullified aggression. But SortOf did a really nice job of not panicking. He holds out, only builds the normal set of Lings required, and it's been all drone production behind that. So a great emergency management by SortOf.
Okay, if I was MaSa, I would still feel pretty good because I got 2 links. That's always like this small victory. You don't get it often, but when you get it, you're like, I can go into this game and feel pretty confident. And on the other side, I really like to compliment SortOf because that placement of the first tumor was so smart. I love it. It was so far away from the Reaper, but still on the edge of the creep. So when you want to creep, but the Reaper is there, please copy that. That's so sweet.
Well, but wait, you're a Terran player. You don't want to tell the Zerg players how to be better at the game, do you?
Well, you know, sometimes you have to find better opponents to get better yourself. So by the Zerg getting stronger, I will ultimately have to overcome those difficulties and improve myself.
I love it. Some wholesome StarCraft 2 knowledge here. MaSa coming forward with 4 Hellions, trying to get a little bit aggressive here against the creep spread moving forward. It's going to be Cloaked Banshee behind this as well, which is a pretty strong timing attack here. Does force the Zerg player into a little bit more of a defensive stance, trying to throw down the Sport Crawlers, try to deal with the lack of vision. Hellion's going to try and push forward here. Reaper going to do its normal thing. But right now, Creep not really being slowed down a whole bunch here. Big Scan could come down and take care of the Creep Tumor on the top right side of the third base. But, I mean, we haven't even talked about this third base placement here. Ooh, Hellion's going to dive on in, grab a couple of drones, but nothing significant. But SortOf, I'm not sure if he was forced. I didn't get a chance to see if the SCV was occupying the normal, quote-unquote, third base location. But I know as a Zerg player, I definitely don't prefer this as my third. I feel like it's very easy to get a tank up onto that high ground, and then suddenly your mineral line's already under attack.
It is unusual to put your third base on that location. On the other hand, if you are already expecting this huge tank push to come, that 1-1 timing, that crisp timing, you might want to get the creep spread up there as fast as possible. And I think if you get the third base at that location, your creep spread will be up there a lot faster.
Well, and that's exactly what he's trying to plan for here. Fourth base goes down right in the face of these 2 Cloaked Banshees. Some Sport Crawlers already down on the ground. These Hellions are waiting for the right opportunity to strike. They do take an opportunity to whittle away at the creep here. Queens are going to be on a location already with an Overseer, so these Banshees are going to get pushed back, and SortOf is going to be allowed to kind of expand upwards to the top right corner of the map. And this, I mean, I actually don't hate this position for SortOf. I mean, he's really kind of clumping his 3 bases here, so that way he can defend against what is ultimately going to be more tank marine pressure here out of his opponent. A little bit of a supply block. It's uncharacteristic here. A couple of depots are going to go down and clean that up, but I think SortOf must have this plan drawn up back at home. He feels really confident with this as he continues to drop a macro hatch and to move himself further in this game.
Yeah, his run-by is already on the way. I like that play. I like run-bys at all. Like, run-bys are just the way to get ahead. And if you are already on 64 drones at that point in the game, you must be feeling pretty confident.
All right.
I imagine, at least.
The medevacs here are going to miss the run-by. Run-by is going to try and get into the third base, but MaSa also opting to take the forward third base. I see Terran take this base a lot more commonly than I do Protoss and Zerg. So those Zerglings not going to make a connection here just yet. Big Scan goes down with this force, picking off a couple of creep tumors, but the Queens are already there on site. They're going to repair that creep just as soon as it was taken away.
So, SortOf once again going for that Hydra-based army. I'm a little bit surprised because the common play right now is for the Zerg to go for the Spire and get those Mutalisks out to get some pressure on the Terran and pick up the reinforcements that try to move across the map. On the other hand, SortOf already told, let people know that he doesn't really like the Mutalisk play. He said that in his stream, but I'm not sure if I like the Hydralisk then, to be honest. On Nightshade, feels like you're just going to get picked apart, no?
I think definitely Hydraling Bane kind of has come and gone on its effectiveness. It had its heyday. Hydralisk took a little bit of a nerf a couple of patches ago, and this is no longer as effective as it normally is. But sometimes players just feel confident with a matchup, and sometimes with good decision making and skills, you can cover that distance here. But we've got a big battle here setting up at the center of the map once again. Lots more tanks this time around. Less Widow Mines, in fact, no Widow Mines at all. But SortOf is kind of set up and ready to go for this. Pulling the Lings to the drop on the top right-hand side as he continues to set up the surround here. Oh, he does get a majority of his army on the top side of this engagement here. SortOf is coming in here. It's going to try and come in on all sides here, but the timing is a little bit weird. I think he's going to try and make it work, though. These tanks are going to get surrounded on all sides. All of the tanks are going to manage, well, that one tank. Yeah, one tank is going to be able to survive here, and this bio is going to try and take down these Hydras. They're so exposed.
I don't like when Hydras fight bio. I like it when they get to fight with Lings, because the Lings will soak so much damage, and then the Hydralisk gets to the point where his damage output gets ridiculous. But in that fight right now, he was not really synced up with both armies. So one army came in, took some shots, and then the second one came in. He did manage to crush what was there, but ultimately I felt like MaSa was doing okay in that trade.
Yeah, I think MaSa is on the losing end of that battle right until his tank cleans up like 9 Hydralisks for free, and that siege tank has 14 kills, and I'm almost certain that those are not all Zergling kills. And anytime a tank is killing anything but Zerglings, that's a great trade for the Terran player. Nice little Ling run by here at the natural. He's gonna pick off a tank. That's pretty good value here. But MaSa continuing to push forward onto the center of the map, being able to clean up SortOf back at home. But now we're seeing kind of an opposite situation here. MaSa is the one that's playing from a supply deficit.
Yeah. What I want to highlight right now is for all those Terran players out there that are struggling with run-bys by the Zerg. Please don't put your army right in front of the creep or on top of creep. Because if that run-by comes in and distracts you, the Zerg army is going to be on top of you and killing you in an instant. MaSa, on the other hand, had his army nicely sieged up on the high ground, relatively far away from the creep, and thereby couldn't really be engaged, but he's being now.
Yeah, nice little surround here. Lots more Banelings than Zerglings here in those. He's forced to toss Banelings into the tanks, so not as efficient as it possibly could be, but sort of is able to clean up all of those tanks. Does lose 9 drones in the process. There was a very, very large drop into the main base. He is going to be able to clean up the economy here and get himself squared away at his main, as Hive is already done. Adrenal Gland's on the way. And where we talked about in game number 1, sort of not making the transition into the late game, I feel like MaSa is now in that particular position in game number 2. Doesn't quite have the base count that he did in game 1, just only now starting his 3-3 bioweapon upgrades. And sort of is able to just continue to crank out units. He's almost maxed out once again.
Sort of playing ridiculously well this time around. I was a little bit skeptical at first because I remember Nightshade being a good map for Terran, but sort of showing me otherwise.
So I really like with this map, the destructible rocks. If you can take those down as a Zerg player, that gives you so many run-bys that you can take advantage of. And even just in this engagement right here, the Terran player having those rocks to their advantage allows them the chance to be able to set up their tanks and get into a position where they can engage the Zerg appropriately. Sort of does a nice job of taking down a good chunk of that wall, but the bio is here and ready to go. But it's going to be a double attack here by SortOf. SortOf needs to commit. He can't be unsure of himself. He'll lose a lot of supply by doing that. Both attacks really not getting all the damage done. It is going to be the top right attack that does get the most damage done. Planetary Fortress does go down, and he is able to get away with a good chunk of the Hydralisks that were in the army on the lower left side. But not before MaSa is able to deal a little bit of damage of his own. Both players trading out some workers. The Medevac's going to jump into the dead space here and wait to strike once more.
I would love for MaSa to stabilize and just make this like the huge macro game that we all deserve. But right now, with his 4th base being taken down and no 4th on the way, I feel like he is kind of all in at this point. He's waiting for his 3-3 to really move on creep, but I'm not feeling it right now for MaSa.
Yeah, he's definitely playing from the back foot here. No replacement base being built. He is going to fly the main orbital out. So if SortOf can sniff that out here, which he's going to try to with these Lings, that will be a very easy base to engage upon. Some really good tank spread here by MaSa, but I mean, he's running on fumes at this point. Not a whole lot of production back at home, and most of the drop here on the top side has been taken care of. This base is going to go down here, but SortOf is going to jump in on top of this. Vipers are going to drop blinding clouds on a majority of the tanks here and try and even out this game. SortOf is going to push in here. Once again, not trading super effectively, having to force Banelings onto tanks, and he's going to have to back away. SortOf still in an okay position here. He was able to kill off the workers at that 4th base location and force a liftoff, and actually that orbital command, if not attended to, could fall. Big push here of Lings in the center here, and this is going to clean up the rest of the army of MaSa, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG is called, and game number 2 goes in favor of our Zerg player, so we might have ourselves a series here, Black One.
I'm so excited. I want to see more of those 2 players. They are just hitting each other all the time, stabbing, and we'll see who'll come out on top in the end. In this match in particular, was so good by SortOf how he managed to keep the tank count low and force MaSa to reproduce tanks. Tanks are super expensive, not only when it comes to minerals, but also when it comes to gas. And losing 4 or 5 tanks just really hurts the Terran.
All right, so we are gonna jump in here and get set up for game number 3. We're gonna find out what map we're moving into in just a moment. Looks like it's gonna be Purity and Industry. We got to appreciate it while it lasts here. But we're gonna do a quick shout out here. We've got so many great sponsors here at Alpha X, and one of them is G Fuel. You know G Fuel is the official drink of esports, and right now they're inviting you to take a trip down flavor memory lane with their new G Fuel bubblegum flavor. It's the newest mind-blowing concoction made with 0 sugar and packed with antioxidants and vitamins. Be transported back in time with this classic taste of childhood, while getting the energy and focus you've come to expect from G Fuel products. Sorry. Check out their sponsor quest on our event page for more info on how to get your hands on G Fuel's nostalgic takes on a time-tested classic. And we are so grateful for their support of Alpha X and the Alpha Pro series here at Alpha X. So thank you so much for them. If you have an opportunity to check out their products, please do. Please give it some thought. We definitely have a great partnership with them, and any support you can toss their way would be a great support for Alpha X. We're going to talk a little bit about the setup here in our Matcherino, because we haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. But first, let's go ahead and introduce our players here on Purity and Industry. We're going to start on the Industry side. Spawning is our blue Terran. 1-1 in the series, looking to make it 2. Give it up for Alpha X's MaSa.
And spawning on the Purity side, he is the Red Zerg who has just been able to take one map of MaSa. He is SortOf.
All right, so we talked to you about those Matcherino quests for our G Fuel sponsor, but we do have a Matcherino set up for all of these events to help get our players paid and to give them an opportunity to fight for as much prize money as possible. Because right now, esports in a great position. If you would have told me 4 years ago that 2020 would have some of the highest esports participation in StarCraft 2, you might have gotten a weird look or two. But I think we're in a good position here, and it's all thanks to people like you and to organizations like Matcherino providing great coupon codes to help us pay our players and give them great prize money. So, in the chat, you will find a Matcherino link. APS176 is the code that will allow you to contribute 50 cents for free towards our prize pool. So please consider. Right now is a great time as we get wound up in game number 3. You're not, well, okay, you might miss something important. So you can double tap that. We're going to talk to you about it here, but go check out that code, as SortOf has gotten a little lost on Purity and Industry. Black One, it's a big map, and sometimes you just end up building your third at the wrong base. How do you feel about that?
Maybe he just set his screen location on the wrong side. I don't know.
he thought he was on the Industry side of the map, and now he's probably gonna look at it and go, oh no, it's so embarrassing. What could I ever do with this base in the lower right hand corner? Whatever would happen?
I don't know. Maybe some roaches. I'm feeling it.
Well, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that base here, as SortOf has built his third proxy in the lower right hand corner. Now, this isn't a normal, don't think a Bly proxy at this point, where we're going to see just a quick spawn of those roaches, but it does look like it's going to be roaches on the menu for SortOf here. It's kind of an interesting tale here. MaSa is going to be able to jump up and scout the third base location, and he's going to immediately notice, that's not where it normally is. So this Reaper is going to stay on this side of the map. But what does MaSa do as a response here? He's not really responding any differently than he would normally in this game. He's got 2 Hellions coming out here. What do you make of all of this, Black One?
So I don't really like the position for MaSa. Okay, now he knows. Now I like it a lot more. If he sees it, he can defend it. I like the Marauder with the slow upgrade. Concussive shells is definitely the way to go there. And 2 bunkers coming up. Looks fine to me now.
So it's gonna come down to MaSa's vision in this game here. He now sees the roaches and he goes, wait a minute, where did those roaches come from? So MaSa's got to start putting the pieces together here that he has a proxy across the map. There is already 1 Ravager here as the bunker is allowed to finish. No Marauders just yet. 1 actually just hitting the bunker at this point. Concussive shells is now done, so those Marauders are going to be able to deal some extra damage and slow down those roaches. 2 bunkers already in place. 3 workers do go down for MaSa, and SortOf is on the offensive right now. But don't let that army disparity fool you. If MaSa can hold this, he'll be in a great position to move forward in this game.
Man, those Hellions have been through hell. Literal hell. Imagine you come into the game, you expect to be faced with Zerglings of some kind, maybe Queens. If you get like really lucky, you get to kill a lot of drones, and then suddenly you have to fight against roaches? I'd hate that.
Well, there is finally a tank on the low ground here. The Ravagers are caught a little bit far forward here. Hellions are going to be able to pick one of those Ravagers off. The second Ravager very, very low. Each Ravager that goes down is less damage against that tank, but the Lings are going to be able to swing in behind that tank. A really good repair tries to hold that down, but it's not going to be enough. All of the Ravagers do get picked off. The bunkers are still in place. 3 Marauders are going to be able to zone this off effectively. SortOf is continuing to build as much as he can off of that proxy. Creep continuing to push forward as well, but is that drones? He's making drones,
Please,
Black One.
please.
He feels so confident right now.
I would have loved him to go, okay, I make 3 drones and then I make spine crawlers. Because why the fuck not? But at this point I think SortOf is just like, okay, my cheeky strategy didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to go, so I'll just go back to drones and I'll hope to contain the Terran as long as possible to get that drone count up, to get some additional tech, because man, losing those Ravagers and those roaches really hurt. Even though he got the tank, he lost so much right there.
Well, now the game for MaSa comes, how do I erase all of this creep off of this side of the map? And you talk about the contain here. Oh, you might not have to worry about that. Ravagers are returning in supply here as they try and push forward. There is no tank on the low ground just yet. 1 now just arriving here, so that will finally be able to help push this off. And this might finally be enough here for MaSa to shove this army all the way back. Good transfuse on that forward Ravager, but with that Raven, he wants to try and paint this picture of no creep on his side, because as it sits right now, MaSa missing out on great expansion opportunities. SortOf already taking his normal 3rd base location. Did lose 6 drones, so he did have that going for him on that side of the map. But it's going to be very difficult for MaSa to try and take his 3rd base without having to wait so long for all of this creep to push back.
Please tell me he's just going for the island base. I want to see the island base being taken. But I think it's going to be the one to the left of the natural, just because that one has no creep on it and it's way closer to the command center that he already built.
And the drones are going to be pulled off of the base down here. So this base is essentially forfeit here as MaSa now begins his march against the creep. And what does SortOf decide to do here? SortOf gets a lot of damage, but he doesn't deal the devastating blow that he was hoping for. Throwing down a Baneling Nest behind all of this to help deal with the bio, picking up those 1/1 upgrades for melee, and completing his roach speed as well. So a little bit of a potpourri matchup here for SortOf.
I'm not really liking the position for SortOf right now. Not only that he has a literal base on the side of MaSa that can't produce and can't mine really, but also he is slow on his 1-1 upgrades, and MaSa, already being at 46 army supply, might just try to hit that timing and march across the map.
This is usually a scary timing for Zerg players because this can be very deceiving. SortOf is invested in a lot of workers here, but look at that worker count. MaSa still up in worker supply. He drops the orbital into the third base location and still has a pretty decent saturation. And he's going to be able to just pump out units and upgrades. Armory coming down as well, getting some more of those important supply depots. I agree with you. I really would have been interested to see that top corner base taken by the Terran player, because if you can get that set up as MaSa, that's so difficult if you can get it sieged for SortOf to try and take back. But SortOf is he does need to be careful here. Trying to get out to a fourth base, investing a lot into his economy, which is not a bad thing, but it's really easy for MaSa to get across the map and wind up for a big punch.
That Link spotting the drop is nice, but what I really don't like is how much this drop is doing, and the creep spread for SortOf. He is so low on those creep tumors. It's like we are watching a MaSa's play, but the only difference is that SortOf kind of had his creep spread all over on the other side of the map. So he wasn't really focused on doing the creep spread on his side of the map.
There's a part of me that thinks that SortOf didn't expect to be playing in the 10-minute mark of this game. So he was hoping to get a little bit more damage done. Because he actually, like, I don't even know what you're talking about here. He's got... Look at how far this creep is. It's already at his third base. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, that's memes and jokes here.
It's literally all over the map.
Oh, we've got a center tower going down at the third base to try and keep some of the pressure off of his mining base, as there is still a pretty decent amount of creep over here, SortOf trying to move that creep over to the fourth base location to prevent that base from coming down, as it is being built not quite on site, but definitely close by. Oh, MaSa not paying attention to those medevacs, does lose a couple of them to some biles, as the Ravager Ling Bane style of SortOf is moving across the map. But so many drone kills. MaSa has been able to deal so much harassment damage here in this game, and that third base is going to go down. That third base is going to fall to the drop here. And that Liberator's going to get away. Only 3 kills, but lots of damage done. And I mean, I think this is going to force SortOf all in, but he just doesn't have it. He's down workers, he's down army, and this is a great position for MaSa.
His position is literally unbreakable. Those supply depot blocks right there, together with the amount of tanks he has, it's just unbreakable for SortOf.
So I see a slight position where he could swing in on the bottom side here, but SortOf is just going to toss his army away. He knows that he's lost this game. GG is called, and MaSa taking game number 3 with a very convincing hold. Very well played.
I liked his hold. The 2 bunkers were so crucial, but SortOf made that mistake, or like he was a little bit greedy with those roaches and ravagers when he moved into the natural to deny the gases of MaSa. He just took so much damage by the tank and the bunker as well, that going into the second half of this match, he wasn't really in a good position to start with.
And I think both of our players are showing that they're rather evenly matched. There's good tactics being played by both players. I think we are in for some more great tactics and great mind games, if you will, from our two players. So I think we're in for a treat. We could possibly see this take all 9 games. I really hope that we can get more of that. As we start to wind up here for map number 4, it's going to be on Zen. Now, talk to me, Black One. I, as a Zerg player, have a big opinion on Zen. I'd love to know your opinion.
Zerg player. Okay.
So talk to us about Zen.
I have Zen vetoed. I know. We have seen a lot of Terrans do pretty good on Zen. Especially Clem, if we remember back to the TSL 5, he took down DRG in a long macro game on this map. But I'm not feeling this map. And I have a series to prove it. Sue versus Innovation. Those run-bys just mess with you as a Terran.
I can't believe what I'm hearing here. I just can't believe it. Are you telling me that a Terran player doesn't like Zen? Oh, hold me, Chad, as we get into game number 4. I'll give you the TLDR. Zen good map. Zerg make hatchery go brrr with Zerglings. So we'll take care of that. But it looks like we better get our players introduced here because we might have something interesting to talk about. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Zen LE, our yellow Zerg looking to get up to his 2nd point in this series. Give it up for SortOf.
And spawning as the blue Terran in the left bottom side of the map, it's the Terran MaSa.
Well, wait,
I said
okay.
Terran twice.
That's okay. You said lower left, right? But what? I don't. Wait a minute. That's top center. What's happening here? Maybe my game's bugged or something. I don't know.
I think no. I think it's a bug for both of those players. First, SortOf placing the hedge on the wrong side of the map, and now MaSa doing the same with his barracks.
What? I'm gonna pen a letter here. Dear Terran players, it's normally common for you to build your first buildings within the confines of your first base. We know this is sometimes very confusing. So as a Zerg player, we send an Overlord out just to make sure, like, oh shoot, he forgot. Okay, so SortOf has seen this go down. Sincerely, Rushy. Sorry, gotta pen that off there. But MaSa's actually going to jump on top of this really fast here. Does get a nice positioning on the bunker, but not quite a full seal off. So the drones are able to fight this for now. That amount of drones can tackle 2 Marines and some workers here. Oh, he actually gets a full kill on that. So this is a great hold by SortOf so far. Some very good drilling, Micro. All of those Marines are going to get surrounded here, and SortOf just makes this look easy. I think he was the one writing the letter. MaSa, let me take care of these units for you. I know that you would feel bad having those spawn outside of your base. I'll just delete them for you at the cost of 4 drones. You know what? That's a great trade for SortOf.
4 drones is pretty good, to be honest. And killing so many Marines in the process is just amazing. But we should not be too quick with our judgment for MaSa, because this is not all in. He has a gas, he has a factory coming up, he will be going for some aggressive follow-up. I know Innovation is really, he really likes to go for some battle cruisers and some hellbats afterwards, and that's not really something you want to face as a Zerg player. We'll see how MaSa is going to follow this up, but I'm pretty sure he will be aggressive as well.
Well, he's already being more aggressive than I probably expected him to be, as he's still pumping Marines out of these barracks. Usually that barracks starts flying home about this point, but MaSa staying across the map, trying to stay aggressive, forcing more Zerglings of SortOf. 8 more on the way. I mean, that's a lot of... we'll call it damage, just because he's not building drones. And in this case, SortOf's advantage comes at the fact that he has a better economic advantage and he can get ahead in that count. But look at the worker counts, 26 to 24. Even with 1 or 2 mules, MaSa actually gains the income value, and SortOf only now able to kind of wrestle that away. But I think you're right. I think we don't want to write this off too quick. MaSa might just surprise all of us.
SortOf invested so much lava into those links, and this is another one for you Terran players to note. Whenever the Zerg player is building units and you see those units, he did not build drones with this lava. So MaSa might be pretty confident right now. His second CC is building. He has tech. He has the fusion core coming. So it will be that how that battlecruiser build.
So this is going to be a really quick windup for MaSa, and SortOf needs to find a way to scout this. I mean, that fusion core is shoved in the back pretty far. One Viking is going to get out and eliminate all of the aerial coverage that can be provided by the overlords. SortOf is able to get out to his third base. Pretty decent creep spread coming out to the right-hand side. But as MaSa starts to take his natural, you have to wonder if the clock is ticking here for SortOf.
I think SortOf is already expecting something like that. Like, he saw the Vikings, so he knows the starport is on the field. He already put down 1 spore. He is producing additional queens. With those additional queens, I feel like he will be able to hold this, especially since the Baneling nest is on the way as well. Baneling's perfectly fine against those Hellbats. You want to trade Banelings for Hellbats, and then you have the queens to defend the battlecruiser. I think SortOf is in a pretty good position if he manages to micro it well and gets a decent engagement.
Well, right now, getting up to that lair tech already, does have a spore crawler in each base. So, oh no, not quite. Has a spore crawler in the main, nothing in the natural or the third base location just yet. So he'll want to start trying to move in that direction here. What's the queen count look like at this point? Only 5 queens, so SortOf not quite ready to deal with a battle cruiser that's going to jump across the map here at any given moment as it does enter the field. We're going to have to see where it does decide to go, and it is going to leap into that back corner. So initially the spore crawler is going to deal some good damage to try and fend that off, but hopefully that gives SortOf enough time to react, as he does have that spore crawler going down in the natural almost immediately.
Oh, so we see MaSa going for the mech play. I was already wondering he didn't get the armory to go out with those, to move out with those Hellions and morph them into Hellbats. He did get the battlecruiser though, and I think getting the battlecruiser is a good choice if you want to go for the for mech play, because it keeps the Zerg occupied. It forces some queens and some spores. It will do damage, just in a different kind of way. And that battlecruiser got 3 or 4 drone kills as well, so decent play, decent play.
Yeah, and it's going to be a Yamato cannon as well, so this is going to be a little bit more of an invested battlecruiser opening, as the second battlecruiser is going to leap out across the map, is going to find that 4th base. That 4th base ultimately going to be canceled. I don't think it's going to be able to survive very long, as the other battlecruiser is able to come over here. There is good creep spread to get the queens over, but just too much distance, so that base will be forced to cancel. Double armory coming down behind this as well, so we are going to start seeing some of those upgrades moving into the later portions of this game, and SortOf also taking his infestation pit, more than likely going to see infestors as we start moving forward. And I like this play as he starts to get ready to deal with the mobility of the ground army, seeing battle mech happening as well, and being able to neural all of these battle cruisers, which right now only 2 on the field, none in production at the current moment. But I think Infestors is a great catch-all to try and deal with this as we start to get more roaches and hydras out on the field.
I'm curious how he's going to deal with it, because there has been talk in the foreign scene back when battlecruiser openings were the thing to do, that you would play with Link, Baneling, and Infestor against the battle mech follow-up. We see a lot of hydras being built as well, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to go for that Link, Baneling, Infestor, catch all the battle mech units and just roll over the Terran type of game.
I'm not sure we could ask SortOf and have him tell us either, as Aspire's coming down as well. He's just trying to have every possible option at his disposal, and he does have some Infestors coming out, but I think he is spreading his tech rather thin to give himself as many options as possible. Corruptors are going to hit the field to try and help deal with those battle cruisers, so Infestors will not be the end-all be-all, as we actually don't even have Hive tech on the way as well. So Neural Parasite not quite available for our Zerg opponent here. It's going to be the Magfield Accelerator that completes for MaSa as well. So now this Battle Mech army is going to be able to jump in and strike with a pretty hard-hitting presence.
Okay, so we see 5 more hacking lords. What are they called? I only remember how Neuro calls them.
Swarm hosts. You're thinking Heck Muffin.
Okay, so we see the Swarm host. I like the Spire with the Corruptors. I think he decided to go for the Spire because he saw the Yamato cannon on those battle cruisers. If he had not seen that, I don't think he would have went for Corruptors. We see the Nidal Swarm as well, and a lot of links and melee upgrades. So he is going to go for that I fungal you, I catch you, I kill you with my links type of game.
And we see a Nidus network coming down as well as we finally start moving towards Hive tech here. MaSa just continuing to pump out more and more power behind his mech units, +2, I believe, on the way for vehicle plating and vehicle weapons. More bases being produced here, getting ready for his 5th base. And the Nidus Worm is going to start moving out onto the map here. But the Battle Mech's going to jump in on the 5th base first. And some good lock-ons is going to be able to clean up this base with relative ease here. Sort of not jumping all the way on top of this. He's busy focused on this Swarm host attack here. He does need to try and get all of those back in and does get those into place. Oh, but all of the larva actually gets pulled into the Hellions here and is not able to get any damage done onto the mineral line here of MaSa. That's actually great damage deflected.
SortOf just needs to keep them alive. As long as he keeps the Swarm hosts alive, he can force better and better trades for them, and they will gain more and more value. The thing is, they are so expensive when it comes to supply that the rest of the army of SortOf looks kind of small, so he's really depending on those fungals to sit tight on those battle mech units, and he will need some more creep spread as well in the direction of the Terran to see those the battle mech coming and to get on top of it fast enough to kill it.
All right, these locusts actually get a lot more damage done as they are able to jump in on top of some of the buildings here, picking off some supply depots. But that's going to force MaSa to jump in on top of the creep to get more and more damage done. Some of these Cyclones actually getting caught out just a little bit here. Some good connections with the Corruptors are going to force the battle cruisers backing away. And MaSa, in a rare moment of misfocus, loses a couple chunks of his army here to SortOf, and SortOf is able to push this back, if only to give himself a breather.
I like the burrow upgrade. I think this should have been there a little bit earlier as well, because now the infestors will be able to move in a little bit more sneaky. They might get that extra fungal out or get that neural parasite out on those battle cruisers. And we have to see MaSa scanning a lot more just to dodge those infestors, and he cannot warp around the map just like he did before.
There's not a lot of Hellion in this battle mech right now. Tons of Cyclones, so those Cyclones could be very susceptible to even one infestor fungal here. I was noticing that this Nidus Worm was going rather undetected there for just a minute, but he is able to swing up with the battle mech and clear that out. We do see +3 coming, a couple more Cyclones do get picked off here. Oh, a nice little engagement here. Ling's trying to corner some good bait-link connections on top of those Cyclones, and that's going to be great damage here for SortOf. It's going to force MaSa a little bit all in with that attack there, and he tosses away a lot of value in those Cyclones. Battlecruiser's going to try and clean up the 6th base in the bottom right-hand corner, trying to scan for the location of all of these Corruptors, and is able to pick away at that 6th base to its demise before being able to leap away. Some great damage from both of our players.
I love what MaSa did right there. He went in, distracted SortOf just enough to get that 6th base down by SortOf, just to kill it with those battle cruisers. The Corruptors were not in place to defend it, and I feel like if MaSa continues like this, just taking off bases right and left, making the Zerg player guess where he's going to hit next, I think he's maneuvering himself in a good spot.
Well, both of these players continuing to try and expand outwards here. Both players trying to take a 7th base location and actually dealing some really good damage on top of each other here. Some of these Locusts trying to engage on this command center. That command center is going to fall. The base gets canceled down here at the Rich Vespine Geyser location for SortOf. And both of our players are maxed out, but take a look at the banks of both of our players here. SortOf with a very strong mineral economy, MaSa with a very strong gas economy.
MaSa has not been able to have secure income on that 5th base. He has always been trying to counter repair. There's always been pressure by SortOf through the swarm host and so on. I would love to see SortOf going for the 2nd Nidus Swarm while we see the battle cruiser squad coming in again and taking down the hatch.
Yeah, MaSa gonna try and prevent SortOf from being able to expand as much as possible, because SortOf's bank is starting to get a little out of control. Good engagement here by SortOf, trying to get on top of the army. Some good Locust control. Okay, SortOf's not gonna toss these Locusts away anytime soon. Doing some really nice micro here, trying to get as much value out of those as possible. Some good neural parasite on top of these Cyclones will be able to clean up a good chunk of this battle mech here. And SortOf is being very, very efficient with his army. Taking a look at the income here, SortOf having a great advantage in most of the game, but it's going to come down to those units lost that he's able to just hold firm. Both players actually about dead even on units lost and minerals lost.
Yeah, those swarm hosts are really trying to pay off, but getting killed now by those Cyclones, and I don't think SortOf intended them to die, because he is rebuilding 7 more.
Yeah, something free units. I can't ever remember what's said about free units. Probably that they're really good and very excellent. I can't ever remember anything else about that. This base is gonna get taken down once again. MaSa absolutely will not let SortOf secure that 7th base location in the bottom right-hand corner, as MaSa is able to plop down on the bottom center. More and more engagements here as as MaSa trying to secure the base on the top. It called almost the 11 o'clock position. Swarmhost going to try and engage onto that planetary. The battle cruisers are going to be able to help decrease the DPS here. Ooh, but a nice surround actually might get that base picked away here. That's great damage.
Okay, so SortOf has a problem right now because the battle cruiser count is getting out of control. He has Infestor, but those are so slow, and his Corruptor count is so low that he won't be able to challenge them anymore. And that means MaSa might be able to just pick off bases everywhere, but now the big fungal lands and a lot of that battle mech army just evaporates in the face of Berserk.
Well, and this is actually an interesting call here by MaSa. MaSa moving out of that battle mech, at least for a brief amount of time, picking up 4 tanks here. I think I agree with you on your point about the battle cruisers getting a little bit out of control here. 6 currently out on the field. But if MaSa's not able to have an economy behind this, really all SortOf needs to do is take one engagement, kill as many of these battle cruisers as possible, and he can just remax and win this game, almost picking off one of those battle cruisers before it's able to leap away. And I think that's what SortOf is trying to accomplish here. MaSa already down completely to the bottom of the barrel on his mineral count, and SortOf continues to try picking off more and more bases. It doesn't matter that he has 7k worth of gas in the bank if he has no minerals to spend it on.
No, I agree. I think what MaSa is going for right now is he's thinking, okay, I have that big battle cruiser account right now. What is the only thing that will eventually hit my battle cruisers and kill them? Exactly, the Infestor. So how am I going to counter the Infestor? Well, you either go for Ghost, which I don't see happening right now, or you go for something you already had and you can produce pretty easily out of those factories. You go for the siege tank and you just focus fire those Infestors down like they stole your cake on your birthday.
That's a touchy subject for me. It's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to be really offended if somebody touches my cake on my birthday. So I know that feeling. I know that feeling a lot. I think this is getting to be an interesting game here for MaSa. He's got to be very, very careful. All of these battle mech units, so valuable at this point. There's not a lot of resources that he can replace those with. He is able to float one of the orbital commands out to his, what do we even call this? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, his 6th base location. He actually has a 5th base here down on the 7 o'clock position, but he just doesn't have a whole lot there. It looks like he is transferring now. More and more of the battle mech trying to engage upon the creep, but unable to push the creep back too terribly far, picking off some drones here and there, sort of slowly falling behind in the worker count. But MaSa just I mean, he's got to be playing the world's most patient game, or he's not getting the damage that he needs to get done. I haven't quite decided yet.
Oh man, that poor Cyclone. All of his friends got away, but he got neural.
Oh.
Okay, so the Swarm hosts have been gaining value over time. We have seen them take down so many bases, and now the next base might fall if MaSa is not quick enough to lift it. He is. But still, those Swarm hosts really paying off right now.
I'm actually surprised that SortOf didn't go for the Planetary Fortress, because, fun fact, Planetary Fortresses can't lift, but he's only now going to find out about the existence of that. And this is actually a big engagement here. Some very, very good Yamato cannons onto the dangerous Infestors here. Infestors not using Neural. There's just no army here on the ground to protect all of those Infestors. The Infestors are forced to use Fungal. They have to back off. The Locusts are only now showing up, but there's so many Blue Flame Hellions. Those Locusts just are not able to get all the value they can. But I think SortOf is trying to make the most out of a bad situation. He's able to clean up a good chunk of the supply here. but he's unable to engage, at least at this moment.
Oh man, that fight went so good for SortOf in the beginning. He got all of those funnels on top of the battle cruisers. He got the funnels on top of the battle mech. And in the end, the battle cruisers still kind of managed to get that damage out. But I don't know if that was the thing that MaSa was looking for, because he lost a lot of that supply. He lost some battle cruisers as well. And losing all of that supply and battle cruisers really hurts if you're on low economy.
Yeah, and that's actually the scary part about this army for SortOf. He has so much supply built up into those swarm hosts. Swarm hosts taking 3 supply, so at 14 count, we're looking at 42 supply worth of damage here. But anytime those locusts fire, there is that incredibly long cooldown. So in that case, MaSa was able to continue jumping on top of the base of SortOf, because those locusts just were already out. It was going to be another 20 seconds before they were able to deal any more damage, and MaSa was able to capitalize on top of that. And he did put himself back into a position where he could continue macroing up in this game. More and more lings are not going to be an entire answer here. 10 workers continue to go down here. Nice little roach run by in the top left-hand corner. This is a scrappy match here, Black One.
It's incredibly scrappy, and while we are looking at this scrappy match, I just want to take a second off and say this is amazing. We started off with a 2-Rex. We started off with a 2-Rex, and now we are looking at one of the longest battle mech macro games I have seen in the most recent past. And MaSa is getting himself on top of this hatch again.
Oh, and this is a big deep dive, though. SortOf has got to get this surrounded. If he had any opportunity to do that, he's got it now. But the ground army just is not sufficient here, especially not without the infestors. And the infestors are going to be able to get preyed upon. They're just caught out in the open, and they're going to get picked off. 1, 2 go down almost immediately. 3 fall for almost no return. And SortOf is kind of in a slip-sliding position here. He's lost 2 bases. He's lost 16 drones. He's losing those valuable infestors. Is he starting to lose his grip in this game number 4?
Definitely. He is looking at the end, I feel like. He's at 182 supply, so he's still kind of fine, but 37 workers and only a 500 mineral bank, yet alone a 300 gas bank. This is not what SortOf is looking for. Right now, MaSa might be able to take the game and show us that battle mech and battle cruisers are actually pretty good against swarm hosts, at least.
Well, he has got to get maximum value out of these swarm hosts here if he wants to win a game in number 4. The army of MaSa is so mobile, so able to continuously fight throughout the game. And SortOf right now, once again, has to sit on almost 42 supply worth of just dead weight. So if you take that 42 out, MaSa sits with the economy lead. He sits with a worker lead. He sits with that army lead. It's so important if SortOf wants to win. He has got to engage here, and he's going in as quickly as he possibly can. Locusts are flying outward. This is his opportunity to strike. He has got to get some damage done here, but that is so much battle mech. Not able to engage on top of that orbital command. The orbital will continue to mine for now as MaSa looks to reposition and try and jump in on top of these bases once more in the lower right corner.
Okay, so MaSa's goal should be to just deny as much mining and as many bases as possible, because that's what SortOf is doing for him. On the top left corner, we see no base being taken because SortOf managed to get his units burrowed there, and burrow just really paying off once again.
All right, so Loca's going to try and engage on top of the battle mech, and I can't stress this enough. If you're a Zerg player, don't engage the battle mech if you don't have to. I mean, sort of doing everything he can. He has to fire some of those locusts to drive that back. But once again, that just now puts him in an awkward position. He has so much supply that just cannot engage. And these 6 battle cruisers, let's look at these kills. 0, 30, 6, 11, 13. These battle cruisers are unstoppable. There's just nothing that can pull them out of the sky right now. Sort of gets a nice engagement here. Some good fungals on top of the creep here. But that forces everything back into a corner. The battle cruisers are going to leap in on top. This is going to be the damage that he's looking for here, trying to pick off all of this valuable supply. Some good biles are going to get down. The battle mech is a little bit limited here, but there's just not that much to deal with the battle cruisers. One battle cruiser does get low. One battle cruiser does go down. The corruptors are now here.
Battle cruisers already used up their jump, so now the corruptors and the infestors are going to deal massive damage to those battle cruisers. I don't see this going well for MaSa.
I loved the play. Instead of choosing to fungal and neural the cyclones, he actually neurals the cyclones instead, instead of fungaling the battle cruisers, neurals the cyclones, picks off all of those battle cruisers, and now that's going to allow SortOf forward here. He's going to be able to pick off these tanks. These zerglings are now going to be so valuable. More cyclones on the way. MaSa's only able to commit into battle mech at this time. He just doesn't have the resources to bring more battle cruisers online.
And that is why you should watch TvZ as a Zerg player, because if you get that neural on top of those cyclones, those battle cruisers might as well be paper, because cyclones deal 800 damage if they lock on to an armored unit, and those battle cruisers will just die immediately.
It feels like 1,000,000 damage watching it as a Zerg player, because all of I need 14 queens to push those off, and I just need 1 cyclone. Terran is so imbalanced, even against Terran. Just even against Terran here. SortOf is slowly starting to pick away here at MaSa. 17 workers going down. He does manage a lift off on the 5th base location. MaSa is able to pick off a base at the 12 o'clock position, but MaSa's income is drastically falling here. And in fact, actually, MaSa right now with the income advantage. What are we missing here? Oh, so SortOf actually doesn't have more than 1 mining base right now. This is his only mining base at the current moment.
I can't believe how scrappy this match is. We have been at 200 supply at least 10 times. I didn't count, but if you went back to count, you would definitely see like 10, 200 supply armies engaging and just killing each other once again and again and again. And now we see SortOf with a slight supply lead of 20, but his gas income is so low, and that's not something you want to have as a Zerg player in a late game scenario.
I don't even know that we can call this game scrappy anymore, because that just does not give an accurate detail of how scrappy this game has been. These players have just been taking shots to the face, throwing them right back.
Oh my God. Getting
trading
those
units.
lock-on.
Oh, the lock-ons are going to be really, really strong against these corruptors. All those corruptors are going to get picked away. Only 2 are going to live to tell the massacre of the 33-minute mark. I still cannot believe that there are swarm hosts on the map at the 33-minute mark as well. And again, I think you said it perfectly. This all started off of a 2-Rax proxy. Oh, good surround on the battle mech here, trying to engage on top of that, but SortOf just isn't able to get this pushed off all the way. He's just not able to shut down all of the aggression here, although this has been a really good engagement for him. Not that many Hellions left into this mix here, as he does try and get on top of the Cyclones, and MaSa finally dropping below 100 supply here for the first time in a very long while.
Yeah, those funnels were just insanely good. And getting those fungals on, he was able to engage the battle mech army and deal massive amounts of damage. That damage just catapulted MaSa back below 100 supply. And MaSa really needs to watch out that this base up there won't be taken out, because that's pretty much his only winning condition right now.
Yeah, most of the bases are rather mined out. Even this base location right there is already sapped. So this really the only functioning mining base. He does have a good amount right here, but that planetary fortress unfortunately can't wiggle forward. And I think this is going to be a big commit on in here for SortOf. Trying to nuke this down, and that planetary is going to fall. And with that, that's going to put MaSa in an awkward position. He has a base up and ready to go. So he just keeps thinking of everything. But 112 army supply to 66. And SortOf is trying his hardest to push this off for good here in game number 4.
We are at the 35-minute mark. We are seeing Hellion run-bys, killing drones, and it actually affecting the game. I can't believe it!
More locusts trying to work their way in here. Those cyclones microing back as much as possible. It's going to allow the rest of the army to get up on top of the orbital command. How cool would it be if you could just knurl an orbital command? Wouldn't that just be something?
That's something a Zerg player would say.
That is something a Zerg player would say, and I think it's a great idea. David Kim, if you're out there, rehire yourself at Blizzard. Give that one some thought. 12 workers goes down. Lower right-hand corner base still trying to get saturated as much as possible. SortOf is also kind of running low on supplies here. He does have access to this base in the lower right, so options are available, but SortOf is basically connected all the way to... Locusts are going to get on top of the tanks. Tanks are not very good against those. A couple of those tanks are going to fall. 2 more battle cruisers somehow snuck out onto the field here, and a third one on the way as well. And SortOf, I think, is slowly starting to clean this up. He's pushing MaSa back further and further, and he's just going to starve out his Terran opponent.
In the aftermath of all this fighting and this super scrappy game, but exciting game at the same time, don't get me wrong, I feel like MaSa was a little bit slow to get those tanks in, to get something that deals with those infestors, even if it is dealing with it right now. Who would have known?
Some good neural parasites onto the big mech portions of the army. One battle cruiser does go down. A second one does get fungled and is going to get biled down as well. And that is going to be another nail in the coffin here, but these players are going to fight this one out to the bitter end. The orbital command under fire. Cyclones are going to try and push those corruptors back and away. The range is just so good, but finally, SortOf taking this game number 4 in the 37-minute mark. GG is called. Wow. What a game number 4.
So we are 2-2, right?
Yeah, this is all tied up.
Oh my god, we still have at least 3 maps to go, right?
Yeah, and the way these games are playing, I would say that is not going to be a maximum. That is definitely going to be a minimum as we get ourselves ready to roll into game number 5. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to recollect ourselves, let our players take a quick breather, and then we will be back for more of this outstanding Alpha Pro series. My name is Reshi. This is Black One. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Oh god, what a game.
All right, welcome back here, folks. We are getting set and ready to go for game number 5 in our best of 9 series here on the Alpha Pro Series number 176 between MaSa and SortOf. What a game. 38 minutes on the smallest, cheesiest map in the pool on top of all of it. So a lot to decompress from that game, but we are already jumping in. Our players, we gave them the option, like, do you need a couple of minutes? And both of them were like, no, let's go. Let's get into game number 5. So we're going to see some good momentum here as we jump on to Golden Wall. We go from the smallest map in the pool to the largest map in the pool. How do you feel about Golden Wall here, Black One?
Okay, so the stats say this map is Terran favored in the TvZ matchup, but don't be fooled by this. A good Zerg will still pick off a map on this map. If the Zerg knows what he's doing and if the Terran gets pressure just enough, we might see an upset on this map.
Well, if we are about to see that, we will be watching it live here on play.africatv.com/alphaxsc2. And it might come from this player spawning on the left side of Golden Wall, our blue Terran playing for Alpha X. Give it up for MaSa.
And currently Team Less, the red Zerg player who just took down MaSa in an epic and scrappy game. It is SortOf.
Now, if you were a team player, would you look at that game number 4 and go, I just don't know if I want SortOf on my team. I'm not sure if I want a scrappy Zerg player who's willing to go to the distance and win for the glory of my team. I just don't know. Is that how you'd feel?
I don't know. Okay, jokes aside, I would definitely want SortOf on my team. This is so good. Like, imagine being in that situation in a tournament. You want to have that practice, and if SortOf is capable of giving you that practice, there's nothing you would want more than SortOf being on your team.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks, on the Alpha X Pro Series. We don't just blindly promote everyone. Okay, well, maybe we do, but that's not the point. It's not the point. What the point is that we bring quality players to all of our events, and we definitely want to see them represented. So we are going to get wound up here into game number 5. So effectively right now, we've brought ourselves back to a best of 5. So we started with a best of 9. It's a 2-2 map score. So we're looking at a best of 5 now. So still more games underway. More than likely, we might have a chance to see some of these maps rehashed out. This Reaper getting dangerously low. A couple of kills, though. So nice to see that as the Terran player. But it will be interesting to see how much of the bottom side of the map is played. So as a Terran player, Black One, I have this one. This is like permabanned for me as a Zerg player. As a Terran player, do you feel like you utilize the bottom side of the map?
I used to really like utilizing the bottom side of the map, but then I kind of discovered, okay, if I utilize the bottom side of the map, I don't get to take the gold base, because moving in between is really hard as long as the gold mineral patches are still there. As soon as they are gone, it's okay, but I'm not really liking it, to be honest, even though the correct play is to go for that tank push on the bottom side of the map, take the main of the Zerg player, and just get ahead.
So we do see a really early third base coming down here for MaSa, and I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the awesome, handsome people that have MaSa as their team. I don't know. I just don't recognize that logo. It's very handsome, though, and I'm sure the guy that's in charge of it and the fine woman that drew that logo. I'm sure they're awesome people. Like, I don't know who they are, but if they're out there, like, you guys are the best.
Firm
We'd be remiss
handshake.
about that.
Firm handshakes.
But it is an early third base here. It does look like it's postured to go into that pocket third location, and that's where I see the value of Golden Wall for our Terran player coming into play. Being able to protect that off, because unless sort of goes through the process of breaking down these mineral patches here, he's not going to have readily easy access. And as we talked about earlier in a previous game, SortOf is very openly admitted he's not a big Muta player. So on a map here where there's a lot of airspace to play with, and Mutas actually carry a lot of value, we might not see him go into those.
Okay. While we are watching those players macroing it up and the marine drop going across the map, I want to point out that MaSa went for a nice little mind game in the beginning of the match. He went for no barracks in his wall to the main, which suggested to SortOf, hey, you are going proxy racks again. I need some units. And he did get some links, and MaSa just went, okay, I'm going to go for a really quick third base and just get ahead with this mind game.
Well, that mind game kind of working off right now. SortOf does make a nice recovery, though, economically. I mean, still sitting up 65 workers to 56. MaSa actually choosing to go for that gold base here with his third base, getting that extra mineral income. So we might see a bit of a push here coming out of our blue Terran as he does start winding up. Widow Mines back on the field here for MaSa, going to be included as a part of his army composition as he continues to harass this potential fourth base location of SortOf, but SortOf opting to just go north with it.
Okay, so going for that gold base allows you to go for something really cool. So you know 8 Rex pushes, right?
Tell me more about it.
Okay, so what the gold base enables you to do is you go for an 8 Rex push, but you can still afford the fourth base behind it.
I love
This is by far the biggest brain play I've ever seen out of a Terran.
Well, MaSa going to try and make full advantage of it here, doing a nice job of pushing forward with creep, and he's doing this off of a rather low army count as well. Ooh, getting some really nice pick off on those Banes. I think 3 or 4 of those Banelings do go down, and he picks up with most of the army. But all of this is based off of one medevac full of Marines here. This is actually a really economic play by MaSa.
So I don't know if you ever tried to go for those bending pickoffs, but that stuff is hard. That stuff is hard. I tried it just yesterday, and I was like, okay, I did it before, but if you don't have the room to stutter step with it, taking those bendings off is just insanely hard. You need some pinpoint accuracy.
Well, and MaSa has demonstrated that he's definitely got the accuracy needed to make that happen. One Baneling does connect, doesn't quite pick that off. There are mutas on the field. How did I miss that? SortOf pulling out the stops here, going into muta play here, and I absolutely love that here on Golden Wall. He's going to be able to wrestle back some of the map control in this game, and it's going to force MaSa to probably play a little bit more defensively. But the mines are here. He's working on drilling claws halfway done, going to engage onto the map. Big Zergling run by is going to hit over to that fourth base location. Both players are going to wind up to hit each other at about the same time.
Okay, so going for Mutalisk is really popular on this map. I saw Sarah go for that really early Mutalisk Spire as well, and I think this is a great call. You have so much space in the main base and all over the map, to be honest, to be aggressive with those Mutalisks. And SortOf also did something that is crucial for this style. He waited just until he had defended the initial aggression by MaSa to get those Mutalisks out. If you don't wait, you are missing out on a lot of Banelings, and missing those Banelings will eventually kill you, to be honest.
Oh, playing dangerously with those mines. Is able to get a nice pick off. The Thor is going to drag these Mutas over on top here. Finally, now he does magic box those Mutas out, but so much damage down on top of that. These Lings are going to come pouring on in. The wall is down, so he does not get to deflect that off, and that Thor will get picked off. Some good Baneling splits here, going to try and engage upon these mineral lines here. Oh, he's got to commit in on top of that. Some great damage on top of that. 18 workers going down. A nice little exchange here by MaSa in the top right-hand corner. Does take off 9 workers. So both players doing a really good job of deflecting damage and giving it at the same time.
Okay, so I've been putting a lot of good words out for SortOf. Now I want to say something good about MaSa. He has been able to keep the creep spread well contained. It's not completely outrageous all over the map, as it could be by now. No, he did push it back. He killed the queens, producing the creep, and he is now in a good position to just move on to the creep and start denying bases.
And SortOf with a really, really strong economy here. He's already out on his 6th base. His 6th base is slightly damaged. Oh, good Baneling control here. Gets on top of those Marines, wiggling around the Marauders that are sprinkled out here. More aggression here with the Mutas. SortOf's got to push forward here and defend this, or else his base is going to fall for little to no damage. And he does get some really nice splits on those Banelings. Big Zergling run by here at the gold base. I think this 6th base is going to fall. All SortOf needs to do is hold it back, and I guess he is going to, at least at this point. But this is going to be very devastating damage, forcing a lift off onto the gold base and getting a lot of good damage onto the SCVs. 10 in all, but the base does go down.
SortOf really with the textbook play. He did go for Ling Bane Muta as his composition. He did get the Ling and Banelings before he got the Mutas up, so he could defend the pushes by MaSa, and he went for those backstabs that you want to do with the Mutalisks and the Zerglings. If you get in there, and SortOf did, you are going to get so much damage done. It's ridiculous.
No turrets here at the gold base is going to allow the Mutalist to get a little bit more damage done. And with the Lings coming into support, there's going to be nothing left here to defend this base. The gold base is going to be under fire here as MaSa is more focused out across the map, trying to engage onto the creep, trying to push the creep back. The gold base does fall, so that's one less orbital, that's a lot less scans, and mules incoming. That does force a cancel on the base, but it's coming off of the heels of 11 workers killed. He has to try and kill some drones to balance this out a little bit, and he does pick up 7, but that worker disparity is still so large, 84 to 54. As MaSa continues to push in onto the creep, he has to be very, very careful, SortOf trying to set up a nice surround here, and I think once everything gets set, he's going to be able to. Some very, very good control here by MaSa. The Thor is able to body block for the Banes, and the Banes are not able to get on top of the bio, so that is not the surround that SortOf was looking for, but it did push MaSa back off of the creep, at least for now.
Beautiful micro there displayed by MaSa, picking up Thors, splitting his Marines, spurring his mines. He is doing great work with his bio right now, and he's pushing SortOf really far back. Now he has to be careful not to die to all those Banelings. He's splitting really well, but will it be enough?
I don't know if he's got it. These Zerglings have gotten such great connections. The Mutas just don't have anything to challenge them, so they're able to pick off all of those medevacs. More Widow Mines, more Marines streaming out across the field, but when MaSa isn't able to group them up before they reach the other side, SortOf can just push forward and swarm on top of them.
Okay, SortOf did manage to get the gold base. He is low on bases though. You would want to have an additional base. He's now taking the one that has been denied over and over again. He does not have the creep spread to really defend it. His units are just not fast enough off creep, and MaSa might just be able to hit that location once again.
And SortOf is going to be able to collect that 6th base location that has been fought for. The pocket base is going to go down as well. And SortOf just continues to explode forward here. The mutas are going to try and jump in on top of the production, and they aren't going to find a whole lot here. But that, one mine is going to connect with a good chunk of mutas. Those mutas going to take another mine shot as well. SortOf, you don't want to toss your entire army away here. This is a bunch of advantage, and if he just throws it away, that's not going to be great for him. But he is going to get those mutas out. Mutas are, they're resilient. They're going to heal really, really quick. But he's got to be very, very careful.
Okay, so we do see a big supply lead for SortOf. He has to be careful though, because the army supply is super close actually. And if the Widow Mines get the nice connects onto Banelings and maybe even Mutalisks, that might completely turn the tide. And MaSa just has to wait for his +3 armor to finish, and I think that's when he's going to try to hit once again.
Yeah, SortOf he's dancing on a razor's edge right now. Just 1 or 2 well-placed mines can completely obliterate these mutas, and what the mutas don't necessarily provide in the army supply count, they provide in mobility and map control. So he cannot afford to toss those away. 1 turret's not going to be enough to deal with that. So many SCVs are going to fall. In fact, he's going to be able to clean up every single one of them before the bioforces are able to get to the top side of the map. He still has to be careful though. Those Marines are extra strong. He's going to be able to get out though just fine. 15 workers killed.
Okay, so MaSa has been lacking in turrets, which SortOf realized, and he jumped right on top of those planetaries. If there are planetaries, you are not able to kill them really with Ling Baneling without taking horrible trades, right? So what you want to do right there is go in with the Mutalisks, but those Banelings just hit really hard.
Oh, I had to zoom out so we didn't get Banelings all over our faces there. 12 SCVs going down on the wraparound in the mineral line. That's going to force MaSa all in here. The worker count is so desperately low for him, as SortOf is going to try and get a nice engagement here. No mutas in the fight just yet. They're just trying to wait for some of those Marines to get thinned out. Maybe he can jump on top of a Thor or 2, but he cleans up a good chunk of the army and at least buys himself a little bit of time to pick up some more Zerglings and Banelings here. MaSa is going to try and go all in on this though. He just doesn't have a whole lot behind it. Only really Marines in production, now starting up a couple of SCVs.
Okay, so MaSa is in a decent position. He still has a lot of army, SortOf just engaged off creep, which was horrible of a fight for him. MaSa has 3 Marines, he has 3 Thor, which will just shred through all those Mutalisks. So MaSa has to be really careful how he engages this army, because if there's a wrong engagement and MaSa gets in between those bases, in between those rally points, he might actually be able to still take this game.
This is a number of Marines that SortOf can engage on top of here. Only one of those turrets might be completed here. It's going to force MaSa up to the top left with more of his units. In fact, 2 of those Thors going to be medevaced in to give them a little bit more mobility. It's going to force him back, but again, at the cost of 11 more SCVs. MaSa is just trying to hang on by the skin of his teeth. 39 workers to 74. He has a little bit more sophisticated of an army. But it's gonna take a lot for him to claw back into this game.
Okay, keep in mind, Infestation Pit is just halfway done. So SortOf has been fighting with 2-2 upgrades all the time. He has been taking worst trades, and with those 3-3 Marines and a lot more Marines that being, he did get a lot of good trades. SortOf on the other side has been denying a lot of economy, getting those planetary fortresses once again will just put MaSa in a horrible position.
Yeah, and the base at the 5th and the 6th base location both go down. So many workers are killed. This is going to be another base that gets cleaned off. The army of SortOf is here to help zone for the mutas. So this is going to be mostly cleaned up here, although that was a pretty decent micro engagement by MaSa. Well played by him. It still comes off at the heels of 28 workers dead. He's down below 20. MaSa again hanging on for dear life, but it's getting harder and harder as every minute goes by.
He has to finish it with this push. His army is strong, but will it be strong enough? We just saw 29 Banelings morphing, and I feel like 29 Banelings might just be enough to break this Terran. We'll see. We'll see. The Mutalists will catch the Medivacs as they try to lift out units, but they might not be able to. And GG is called.
And SortOf takes his first lead of this best of 9 series. So he's been waiting for that for a while here. So that's got to come as a breath of fresh air for our Swedish Zerg player, as he manages to get that foothold into this series. So we're gonna have to see where we go.
I am so excited. Those matches are just hyping me up more and more. The 4th map was so exciting already, and now we got another super exciting and super scrappy game, but this time with bio, and I know a lot of the people out there really like their bio, especially the Terrans, but also all the other kinds of races, because you don't really like to play against mech, do you?
All right, we are headed to Simulacrum for our game number 6 at this point. So SortOf up 3-2. Oop, we gotta get you into the game.
Thank you.
As we wind up here, let's go ahead and pitch our sponsor. Once again, we have so many great sponsors for Alpha X that help make this all possible, and one of them we could not do this without is G Fuel. I have a question for you. What are you drinking right now? Well, if it isn't
Water.
G Fuel, you need to stop, because G Fuel, the drink of esports, is the only thing worth drinking during these matches. G Fuel ramps up your energy from 0 to 100 real quick. It sharpens your focus so you can keep your eye on the prize. It increases your endurance because, as we all know, gaming is a marathon, not a sprint. And lastly, G Fuel hydrates you so that you only thirst for victory. G Fuel, the official drink of esports. Stay hydrated, my friends, and we want to thank G Fuel for making events like this possible for us here at not only Africa TV, Alpha X SC2, but also Twitch and everywhere you like to consume Alpha X content. We're so grateful for their support as we jump in to game number 6 in this best of 9 series, spawning in the bottom right. Well, he's trying to spawn in the bottom right. Our blue Terran
He's trying,
player.
come on.
He's trying. It's a hard game. StarCraft's a hard game, guys. Playing for Alpha X. Give it up for MaSa.
And spawning in the left top corner, it is the yellow Zerg who is currently leading 3-2. It is SortOf.
Now, SortOf's on top of this, though. He's got the early spawning pool down, so he's got a sense that this could potentially be a bit cheeky, but is that Overlord going to get over far enough to see this proxy? It is.
He did.
It just got over there. So SortOf knows that this is on the way. This is not a very committed opening aggression. This is exactly just for what it is. It's going to defend against the early racks. He's got a hatchery down already, so he's going to be able to transition into a macro game. But he's already got 6 lings out to help deal with this. So if you're MaSa, what do you decide to do? You decide to proxy Reapers, because Reapers are not going to require the bunker at the front, which is no longer going to be a viable option for MaSa, but it's that third barracks. This is going to be a 3 racks Reaper. This is a Kelliger special.
This is so huge because SortOf doesn't know about the third racks, and he surely didn't know about the Reapers until now. He might know by the time his Zerglings will enter the main base of MaSa, and MaSa pulling all of his Reapers back.
Oh, this is an incredible play by SortOf here. This is exactly what he needs to do, taking all the pressure off of his own base and forcing MaSa to pull every single worker off of the worker line here. There is no speed on the way behind this, so these lings will eventually get kited and zoned out. But he's denying so much time here. Meanwhile, behind this, it's all roaches. SortOf's going all in on this. This is amazing. I love this play from our Swedish Zerg player.
He's so on top of the game, and MaSa recognizes this as well and just taps out. GG is called.
Oh, my Zerg heart just jumped out of my body, and I was so excited. Well played by SortOf here. He is like, we are not going to take this to another 38-minute game. We are going to end it here. We're done with this, as he cleans up his 4th win in the series, and he sits on match point right now. I know I talked up the fact that we might have to use all 9 games, but we're on the cusp. SortOf just needs to win 1 more game, and he is the Alpha Pro Series 176 champion. MaSa's currently on the ropes.
Oh man, MaSa, what are you doing? What are you doing? I guess SortOf went, okay, you tried to trick me into the thought of rexing once again, proxy rexing. In the last game, the game before, you actually did it. So this time around, I'm going to be super safe, and if I see you going for that cheeky mind game once again, I'll just jump on top of you, because only supply depots in your wall, they will not stand a chance against my bias.
Well, and SortOf's kind of put himself in a really strong position here too, because MaSa, I mean, now on his show match life, is going to have to try and find ways to claw himself back into the series. And he's sitting here kind of thinking about it a little bit. We're going to Eternal Empire, so that's the last map in the pool for us on this series. So if we do go to a game number 8, we will be able to cycle through some more maps again. Both of our players will be able to pick some of their strongest maps, and that could be very difficult for MaSa, especially if MaSa needs to win out to win this show match. That means it's going to be off of the back of SortOf's map picks, and you can bet we're probably going to see Zen come out again. You can bet we're probably going to see Purity and Industry come out again. So I think MaSa's in a bit of a rough spot here, but we're going to have to see how he decides to handle this as we get into game number 7. Spawning in the top right of Eternal Empire, our blue Terran. He needs your energy, chat. He needs all 98 of you to send him your energy. Can you do it for Alpha X? Give it up for MaSa.
And spotting in the left bottom side on Eternal Empire, it's the Red Zerg who's currently on match point. It is SortOf.
All right, so it is a normal opening of a game. So I'm going to take a moment while things seem a little normal. We're going to talk about Matcherino. What amazing games that we've had today. We at Alpha X help to contribute towards prize pool for these players. It's a lion's share. I think it's a 60-40 split, something like that. I don't run the numbers. I just talk about them. But what we like is being able to contribute as much money as possible, and we need your help. So in the top of the chat, Matcherino, use the code APS176. Black One, I have a question for you. Do you like free money?
I love free money.
Like, have you ever put on a pair of pants and you reach into the pocket and you're like, what? Wait a minute. When did I stuff €5 in here? And it just like makes your day so much better.
I'm just too broke for me.
Oh, no.
For me that to happen. But if that would happen, that would be the best day of my life, I feel like.
And the second closest feeling to that sensation is using our Matcherino codes. So 50 cents for free requires no contribution of your own. If you want to kick in more, you're certainly more than welcome to. We ask you to consider it, but definitely use that code APS176, log in with your Twitch account, get that prize pool as high as it possibly can go for these players who are working their tails off here, Black One.
Oh man, they are working so hard. I bet they are sweating as well.
So thank you so much for considering that, chat, as we get into map number 7. MaSa loses the Reaper here at the very beginning and showing a little bit of emotion here, not super excited about it. SortOf is going to join in his sad emotion, but I have a feeling SortOf's actually pretty happy that that Reaper is now off of the map, so he can freely drone up. He doesn't have to worry about juggling his attention. How do you feel if you lose that first Reaper, Black One? How does that make you feel?
That's like, you remember when I said before, getting those 2 circling kills makes you feel invincible?
Mm-hmm.
Losing the Reaper is pretty much the opposite. You don't want to lose that Reaper, and especially if you wanted to go for that 3rd hedge block, losing the Reaper would just deny that block for 10 seconds. You would get so much more value out of that block if the Reaper survives. And losing it for a creep tumor really hurts. That hurts.
Well, MaSa's going to have to find a way to macro out of the disadvantage there, because even just losing that 1 Reaper makes those Hellions so much less effective. There's no way to toss the Queens around to open yourself an opportunity to dive in and grab some drones, maybe pick off some Zerglings. So these Hellions are forced. They got to stay all the way back. They have to watch for the Lings that might be coming to the front of the base. They can't really dive in and get a lot of damage done because there's plenty of Queens here. So MaSa kind of having a little insult to injury here in game number 7. A Liberator is going to try and band-aid that all up. Going to dive right on in here, and there's nothing protecting this right now. He's going to have vision of it, but SortOf's probably going to have to pull, and that's going to be okay damage for our blue Terran.
Okay, so SortOf should have been aware since his Zergling did spot it. He wasn't though. 3 drones getting killed, I take that. You just move that Liberator out of the range of the Queens again. I know it's really difficult to get out of range of Queens, but you can do it if you just move far enough. And Eternal Empire is actually a pretty big map, so chances are you can actually make it.
Well, if you're worried about those pesky Queens getting on top of your Liberators, I have good news for you on our next patch.
Oh man,
Oh.
that patch is going to be great.
So, very, very quick. Any quick thoughts about that as this Liberator gets zoned out?
I don't think you want to do too amazing amounts of damage with that Liberator. If you get in amazing amounts of damage, you'll take it. But what you're opting for with that Liberator is to get those Queens back, not creep spreading, occupying the Zerg's APM. You're basically forcing the Zerg to do something else than macro, and that's always a good thing.
All right, so no 3rd base just yet here for our Terran player. This feels very, very dedicated for the pressure here. On top of that, also only one engineering bay. MaSa trying to cobble this one together here. He doesn't have a big transition plan at this point. I think he's looking to try and get a lot of damage done all at once.
Okay, this looks super all in by MaSa. His combat shield upgrade is just about to finish. His +1 attack upgrade is already done, but the Lings are not waiting for his combat shield. It's getting done just in the nick of time, but everything dies either way because SortOf has been expecting this.
Oh, yeah. SortOf was laying in wait. He was, you're absolutely right. He was not going to wait for that combat shield upgrade to finish. And these Lings are actually just going to run right on in. That third base is not going to be allowed to finish. And MaSa is going to be forced into a bit of an all-in situation here.
Unless MaSa pulls out a miracle right now, I feel like we're looking at the end of our show match.
Oh, the Queens are kind of caught out right now. Oh, SortOf doesn't want to toss all of those away. What's SortOf looking at? Oh, he's just going to give all those Queens up. Okay, I mean, if MaSa was going to have a way to get back into this game, that was absolutely the way to do it, as SortOf tosses away 7 Queens? That was 7 Queens lost almost immediately for little to no return. Wow. Okay. So MaSa can breathe a little bit easier, but he's not quite done yet. There's still no third base on the way. He's going to be forced out across the map, but it is going to be off of the heels of no Queen defense. 1 Queen, not going to cut it here for SortOf, and it's going to cut into his inject cycles.
Definitely. Those injects and also the creep spread are going to be suffering, but SortOf just engaging with those banelings off creep. The splits are nice, and MaSa manages to pull out a really good engagement.
Yeah, and that's going to cost SortOf the 4th base here. SortOf is got to be kicking himself right now. He cannot be happy with the way that this has transpired here in the last 3 minutes of the game. SortOf looking like he was poised to strike and clean up the final portions of this game. And he knows that there is still no third base. He's going to try a little Baneling bust here to get more and more damage done. But the Lings and the Banes on his side of the map are going to be enough to push that back and away. SortOf might still have it here. I mean, this could be very, very difficult to deal with here. Banelings are going to roll on in. He only needs 2 to engage. The pull is going to be good enough for MaSa. Only loses 4 workers, but SortOf is starting to shove this back once again.
Okay, so MaSa needs to be careful how he's engaging. He only has a limited amount of units right now. He is on 2 base, so he cannot afford to lose many. His splits in the last engagement have not been looking too good. Partly because of him just engaging off, almost on creep, and SortOf getting really good connects.
Yeah, so what was looking kind of dire for SortOf is now coming back into this game. His Queen count has been replenished. The inject cycles are back into this. And once again, still no third base. MaSa is continuing to have to be all in on top of this, and that is a lot of Banelings. A lot of Banelings is going to be enough to deal with the Liberators, and the bio is going to get all cleaned up. The Queens are eventually going to push this back, albeit not as efficiently as he probably would have hoped. But with the siege gone from this, and 1 tank dangerously low, SortOf is going to be able to wind up once again with more Lings, more Banes. Eventually, this is going to get shut down, and MaSa is going to have to make a transition if he wants to stay into this game.
MaSa's army supply is dangerously high, and SortOf's army supply dangerously low. MaSa was able to just push back the creep spread. His Baneling gets a really nice connect, but those Marines are just not dying, and more are rallying across the map. I am in awe of how MaSa is just rallying everything across the map, and he's kind of taking bad trades, but at the same time he's kind of doing well. Focus firing banelings now, and I think that base might have to be evacuated.
I was gonna say, if you're SortOf, you pull the drones, right? Because he's got so much value still in his army. But yeah, this is just on a razor's edge. SortOf does not have the supply advantage here that he needs in this game, and MaSa is able to push forward. It's only Marines at this point. If SortOf can get on top of this with a couple of good Baneling connections, he might be able to push this back, but MaSa just will not go away.
MaSa has so many Marines right now, and Marines will do very well against drones and queens, and MaSa might actually be able to get this map for himself. He did it. GG is called.
Wow. I think SortOf at a few different points in that game expected, he's like, okay, he's going to stop making worker. Or he's going to start transitioning. Okay, he's going to transition now. Okay, he'll transition now. What? I just built 14 drones. What do you mean he's not transitioning? And then what's the meme? You can't just keep making Marines and push across the map. And MaSa sitting there with barracks go brrrr and just march those Marines across the map and holds on in this best of 9 series. So we're going to a map number 8. All of the maps are now taken. So they are now all available. Once again, we're going to have to see where SortOf wants to go in this game number 8. And we're going to go back to Everdream, our very first map from the pool.
You might need to invite me because I just joined too late.
Nah, you're good. You're good. We are hopping you in here. We are ready to go. We're gonna get
okay,
wound.
so I feel like SortOf kind of brought this on himself. MaSa was ready to take the 3rd base, but one of those Ling Run buys just canceled the 3rd base, and MaSa went like, okay, I guess I'm going all in.
Yeah, and that was the power of the game sense at that point, making sure that he's able to leverage what advantage he did have, and he's like, I don't need a 3rd base, I just need more Marines. Just give them to me. So, all right, we are gonna jump on in here. I gotta get this all set up, make sure we have everything put together, and we are set and ready to go. Spawning in the top right of Everdream. Game number 8. If this player, our Yellow Zerg, can clinch one more victory, he will be today's Alpha Pro Series 176 champion, but he's got to fight for it. Give it up for SortOf.
And spawning in the left bottom corner of Everdream, the blue Terran, who is currently down 3-4, but will do everything to get back up to make this series a really, really long one and a really, really exciting one at the same time. It is MaSa.
Now, I can't help but notice that we asked for all 98 members of the viewing chat to send their energy. And in this game number 8, there are 103. MaSa needs all of you. He needs all of you. It's got to be a Dragon Ball Z episode up in here. It's going to take 3 or 4 different episodes of everybody just going, ah, just for 30 minutes. And then you get the recap of like, next time on Dragon Ball Z, and it's still, ah, it's like just ascending in pitch. You know what I'm talking about, nerds. Okay, we got it.
Get those hands up and lend him your energy. And we see MaSa already going for that energy, because I feel like this is going to be a double battlecruiser build order.
Ooh, so tell me. So I feel like we haven't seen a whole lot here. I mean, we know that the command center is very, very early. Is that what would lead you to believe that this might be double battlecruiser?
Yeah. So CC first is not something you usually see a lot. I have seen CC first only once in the last 1.5 years, of StarCraft, and I've been watching a lot of StarCraft, and that was when Bunny played it in the GSL. He went for that CC first, went up to 2 starports, got the fusion core, got 2 battle cruisers out, also went for Yamato cannon, and then just rolled over the Zerg pretty much, because with those Yamato cannons and so early as well, you're just going to take out 2 queens immediately, and what's there to defend you, really?
Well, now this is going to be an interesting tell here for SortOf. The Reaper staying back at home, SortOf not opening in an aggressive style, and I don't know that SortOf would have given MaSa any reason to expect major aggression. And I believe you have done it, my friend. We have a second proxy starport out across the map. It is very, very likely at this point we are going to see that fusion core go down, and MaSa trying to pull all the stops out in this game number 8.
Okay, so the last time we saw Battle Cruiser with those 2 fighting it out, it was on Zen, and that was an insanely good match, right? So I'm really excited about this one. He might just be able to catch SortOf off guard with this build, unless SortOf realized, hey, wait a minute, you went for CC first, but for CC first, you are lacking buildings and units. You don't really have a lot of those right now, and I feel like you are up to some cheeky play.
And he's going to try everything he possibly can. Oh, that Zergling dangerously dancing at the top of the ramp. It doesn't quite get the scout off that he needs. Still hasn't seen the tech lab go down onto that starport. But it's going to be this proxied information that MaSa just, SortOf just has no idea about. And the fusion core is going to be proxied out onto the map. So it's got to be SortOf's ability to do exactly as you just said. I'm not seeing a lot of buildings. You've built a Viking to push away my Overlord. You're not allowing me any kind of scout of any variety. There's got to be something coming at me that I haven't seen just yet. And he's already trying to get those spore crawlers down, putting them into creative places to protect his mineral lines. He does have a pretty decent queen count so far. He's up to 6. He needs to continue that count if he can put that together. But a Zergling gets up to the top here. He has seen this proxy. He knows there's a second starport. So what does SortOf decide to do? He's just committing into that 1-1 melee right now, but Yamato cannon's on the way. A second starport with 2 battle cruisers incoming is on the way. SortOf has got to respond to this.
Okay, so we see +1/+1 melee attack. We see a Roach Warren being thrown down, additional Spore Crawlers. I feel like he's going for the same route that he has shown us in the Proxy Reaper game. He is just going to bring the fight to MaSa's doorstep and force him to defend his base or die doing damage on the other side.
Well, and that's the nice position about where SortOf is at in this series. I mean, he can take kind of a risky play that has high risk, high reward, and go for it. Worst comes to worst, he loses this game and he goes into the final match of the series, but he's gonna have to respond accordingly here. MaSa jumps right into the middle of that trifecta. That was the Bermuda Triangle of this Zerg base. Is able to pull out of the harm's way of those spore crawlers. One queen does go down, and here comes the remaining queens to try and fend this off, but it's going to be a push across the map to try and get more damage done. In fact, I think SortOf might just try and go to that top left corner.
SortOf just pulled out the biggest play you haven't seen. He just managed to open up the wall of MaSa's natural and streamed in with like 18 Zerglings. That distracted MaSa so much and killed like 6 workers. I don't think MaSa is feeling really good right now. And with the roaches on his side of the map and in front of his natural, he needs to get those battle cruisers back immediately.
One battle cruiser is not going to be enough to deflect all of this damage here, as those roaches are going to be very, very hardy. The other two are going to show up here, and this is now going to push this all away, but what's it going to come at the cost of? 12 workers going down so far. A handful of those Hellbats have been forced to be killed as well, and it pushed those battle cruisers all the way across the map, and they all leapt to get there. So they're going to have to fly all the way across the map, and you know that SortOf is just going to keep this pressure going here.
So I am not feeling it for MaSa right now, but he has 4 battle cruisers with Yamato cannons, so there is a comeback potential because SortOf doesn't really have too much to counter it. The Spire will be done soon, but he just invested so much money into those roaches and zerglings that I am afraid MaSa might just walk across the map with those battle cruisers and get a hatch snipe, or at least trade off for a lot of queens.
All right, the battle cruisers are moving across the map here once again, as they do need to find some damage here. He's got to get some value out of this. SortOf is in position and ready to go, though. Those queens in a good spot, but so many Yamato cannons are going to clean those queens right off of the map. The corruptors are going to show up as well. He's going to have enough available for those leaps, so he's going to be able to leap away. 6 workers goes down. Oh my gosh, he got in once again. MaSa just continuing to struggle with getting that wall in place. 9 more workers go down. So 9 workers for 4 queens, you know? If you're SortOf, that's not a bad exchange.
No, not at all. MaSa has really been struggling with those run-bys, and SortOf will just ramp up the pressure from here. He has corruptors out, and he is standing in front of the 3rd base of MaSa, just trying to get as much damage done as possible. The counter repair is huge on those battle cruisers, though.
All right, well, the roaches are able to help deal with the Hellions on the ground. He's going to need more corruptors, though, if he's going to have anything to deal with the battle cruisers up in the sky. It is going to be a transition into battle mech at this point. So this is going to be kind of a tricky situation here for SortOf to deal with. He's got to overwhelm this while he still can. He's doing a good idea of getting Ravagers out to help with that range, to help make that more viable. But a good engagement is going to be required here if he wants to close this game out early. He's got the advantage. He just needs to follow it up with some good tactics.
Okay, MaSa needs to be careful not to be caught out on the map with his battle cruisers or with his army, because if those run-bys get in once again, or his Hellions get surrounded, he might take a lot of damage. When did those 9 SCVs get killed?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think there was a pack of Lings here at the 4th base location that were sitting underneath of an orbital command, so I think he was able to get that put together. But oh my gosh, look at this! This is going to be another run-by! And fortunately for MaSa, it's a pretty decent choke for those Hellbats, but it's going to come at the cost of more workers and more mining. Meanwhile, this orbital command is going to be forced off as well. More workers going down. I mean, this is just a mental game at this point for MaSa. I mean, he's got to be so discouraged. He's not been able to shut down these run-bys.
Those run-bys have really been getting to him. I feel like if SortOf would not have decided to go, okay, you are going for double battle cruiser, I'm just going to put the pressure on you instead of you putting the pressure on me, I think we would have seen a completely different game. But battle mech is maybe the only option MaSa really has. He needs something he can trade really efficiently with, and Battle Mag should have been the thing to do it, but it wasn't, and SortOf took this match point map.
GG is called, and SortOf with a 5-3 victory is crowned the champion of the Alpha Pro Series number 176. What an outstanding series between both of our players. Outstanding work by both of them. Both of them are winners today. They will both walk away with a portion of our prize pool, which you still have this last opportunity to fill out that Matcherino. Hop onto that link. What a great opportunity. While you're still thinking about it, everyone's all excited. Matcherino in the chat. The code APS176. Add 50 cents for free to this prize pool. So we want to thank once again our sponsor, our main sponsor for this event, G Fuel, for helping us out. Thank you so much for everything that they contribute to us. Black One, do you have any final words here before we sign out?
Somebody please sign SortOf. He looks amazing right now. Not only in TvZ, ZBT, but his other matchups are on point as well. I've seen him practice together with Elaser, so you can be sure his ZBZ is looking tip-top as well. So somebody please sign him, please!
Is there any place that we could find you, Black One, if we want to catch more of your content?
Okay, so if you want to follow me on Twitch, my ID is Windhave. I usually stream in German, but if somebody with English or Korean background should turn out to go there, I'm happy to respond in those languages as well. I am also on Twitter. You can find me with Phil Windhave. And other than that, I think I'll give the last word to you.
Excellent. If you guys want to catch more of Rushy content, you can catch me at twitch.tv/RushySC. You can also find twitter.com/RushySC. I talk a lot about band and I talk a lot about StarCraft. But we're so excited that you were able to join us today. Be sure, follow Alpha X on all of our socials. You can see right above my head, we like to post and share all of the different content that we have. We range from pro matches all the way down to the beginners of the world. Our junior championship is underway right now and actually concludes tomorrow. So you can check that out on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AlphaXSC2. But for now, so long, farewell. We look forward to seeing you for our next pro series. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you're at. Take care.